The stars had grown quiet. Once the galaxy buzzed with trade routes, political messages, and peaceful communications between worlds. But now, silence stretched across space like a cold shadow. The planet Atheon, once known for its vast blue oceans and crystal towers, had become a graveyard. Smoke covered the sky, cities were burning. People were screaming. A final signal was sent, weak broken transmission. "This is High Chancellor Varel of Atheon," a trembling voice said, barely holding itself together. "They have broken through. We tried. We tried everything. Our weapons failed. Our fleets are gone. Our gods do not answer. If anyone is out there, anyone, help us." The video feed showed the Chancellor covered in blood. Behind him, something roared. He looked off screen and whispered, "They're here." Then came static. The Ashburn had arrived. They were not a known species, not part of any council. No homeworld, no language, no mercy. They came like fire and vanished like smoke. Planet after planet fell, and no one fought back. The other alien empires chose silence. Fear made them cowards. They watched Atheon burn. They turned away. But one signal kept traveling. One lonely pulse bouncing through forgotten star lanes, buried cum relays, and deep space gates that hadn't been used in over 100 years. It reached the last place anyone expected. Earth, a planet left in isolation. A planet no one dared to disturb, not after what happened during the final war. The signal entered a long-dead satellite orbiting Earth's moon. It activated old systems buried in the ice. An AI awoke. Its eyes glowed red. It said only one word: received. Miles below Earth's southern pole, under frozen rock and steel, a secret chamber lit up. A mechanical voice whispered through the cold halls. Distress signal confirmed. Source: Atheon. Category: extinction level. Response level: total war protocol. Initiating wake sequence. Commander Riker. A steel coffin hissed. Gah! Inside it, a man opened his eyes. Eyes that had seen too many wars. Too many deaths, he gasped as the cold left his lungs. Machines pulled him out. His body was covered in scars. His face was stone. "Commander Riker," said the AI, "humanity has been called again." Riker stood, his voice dry like dust. "Who was stupid enough to send us an SOS? "Atheon. They are being hunted by a force called the Ashburn. I've never heard of them. No one has. But they burn worlds like we used to."
Riker stared at the screen.
The message replayed, the blood, the screams, the hopeless begging. He clenched his jaw. "Bring the fleet online, are you sure? The council? There is no council. There's only Earth. And Earth does not ignore a cry for help. We answer with fire." Far above, massive structures hidden on the moon's far side began to awaken.
Our long-forgotten ships.
Black as death. Built from metals mined on ancient dead worlds, powered up. One ship was named the Iron Wraith, another, the Leviathan. These were not peaceful ships. They were war machines, weapons of extinction. Each one carried more firepower than 100 alien fleets. A message was sent from Earth. Short, cold, final. "We received your call. We are coming. Do not expect mercy." The galaxy panicked. The galaxy's prime council called for an emergency. Meeting alien leaders from across systems gathered in fear. "Earth is moving," one of them said. "After 80 years of silence, they were banned from war," another added. "Their weapons were outlawed." "No one banned Earth," a tall, scaled creature whispered. "We only hoped they'd never rise again." An elder being, the last of the Cathari seers, looked up and said, "You fools, you let the Deathworlders sleep. Now you've woken." Them? The galaxy remembered Earth's last war. When a human fleet destroyed an entire star system to stop a threat, when they used planet crackers and reality rippers without hesitation, they didn't negotiate, the humans never fought. For power, they fought to end the fight. Permanently. Back on Earth, Riker stood before a glowing display of stars. Red dots marked burning planets. The Ashburn were spreading fast. "We're late," he said quietly. "But not too late," the AI replied. We can still stop them. Riker smirked. No, we won't stop them. We'll erase them. Crew members began to arrive. Soldiers pulled from stasis. Pilots trained for one thing: total annihilation. These weren't young warriors. These were veterans, killers, each one trained during the age of Earth's last great war as the Iron. Wraith lifted into orbit. Riker walked to the command chair. The stars stretched before him like a battlefield waiting to be broken. He sat. Plot a course to Atheon. Yes, Commander. And load the firestorm cannons? All of them. Shh. The voice was calm. All of them. The first wave of Earth's death fleet entered deep space. Shadows followed them. Silence, steel, and fire. On a nearby cum station, a message was quietly broadcast in all directions. This is Earth. You called for help. Now prepare for war. The Ashburn didn't know what was coming. The galaxy had forgotten what humans were capable of, but they were about to remember, because the last signal from the stars didn't just reach Earth, it awakened something far worse: humanity's wrath. The moon trembled. Beneath layers of rock, ice, and forgotten steel, ancient engines hummed for the first time in decades. One by one, deep under lunar soil, black warships stirred from their long slumber. They weren't like the shiny vessels of the Galactic Council. These were monsters, massive, angular, armored, and dark alloy that drank light and bent gravity. Each ship bore a name etched into its hull like a warning: Iron Wraith, Hell March, Sovereign Rage, Black Horizon. They were designed for one purpose: to end wars before they began. Commander Riker stood on the bridge of Iron Wraith, Earth's oldest and most feared command ship. The ship's core AI had just completed reactivation. The air was cold. The lights pulsed blood red. Outside the view window, 1,000 more warships slowly rose from hidden lunar vaults. Status report, Riker ordered, his voice steady. The AI responded, emotionless and exact. Fleet units online, 1,204. Weapon systems active. Antimatter cores stable. Cryo command staff reawakened. Fleet will reach full launch readiness. In 22 minutes, Riker nodded, eyes locked on the stars. Somewhere out there, Atheon burned. Somewhere people screamed and begged for salvation. He had heard those screams before. He had seen peaceful cities turned into glass. And every time, humanity had responded, not with kindness, but with overwhelming force. Bring me tactical command, Riker said. A round table lit up before him. One by one, faces appeared, men and women, old as legend, still breathing. Only because they had been preserved for this exact day. They had once been captains, generals, hunters of war. Now they returned. Riker, said Admiral Kale, a sharp-eyed woman with silver hair and scars running down her neck. I told them Earth should have burned these ships a long time ago. Riker smirked. Be glad we didn't, another voice spoke, General. Idris, the silent brute who had once led the orbital siege of Hellion Prime. Give us the target, the Ashburn, Riker said. They've wiped out 4 worlds. Atheon is next. But they made a mistake. He zoomed in the star map. Ashburn fleet appeared as red swarms, thousands of them circling Atheon's dying orbit. They asked us for help, Riker said. We respond? Admiral Kale leaned forward. Total war? Riker looked around the table. We don't warn, we don't ask, we strike. The commanders nodded, one by one. The moon. Base's launch tubes opened. Thousands of warships began rising into the black. Engines roared without sound. Gravity bent around their hulls. Each ship carried weapons banned by every galactic treaty, but Earth had never signed those treaties. They had only agreed to stay silent. And now, the silence was broken. Back on the Galactic Council station, fear gripped every species present. We must stop them, a blue-scaled diplomat shouted. Earth will burn the stars to save one. World, they're not like us, a 3-eyed creature hissed. They don't fight to win, they fight to end. The Cathari seer closed its blind eyes and whispered, too late. The Deathworlders are already moving. Meanwhile, on board Iron Wraith, The ship's AI showed Riker the first confirmed image of the Ashburn. It was pulled from Atheon's dying orbital probe, a shaky visual. A towering black shape moved through fire and smoke. Red veins pulsed across its skin, tore through steel with its bare hands. "What the hell is that?" whispered one of the officers. The AI answered, "Unknown. It's not listed in any council records. It's possible biomachine hybrid. Regenerates, operates without visible command structure. Estimated threat level, cataclysm." Riker leaned in closer. The creature's eyes looked straight into the camera, cold, intelligent. It knew it was being watched. "What? They're not just killing," Riker said. "They're sending a message." "And what's our reply, sir?" asked the AI. Riker stared into space. The only reply Earth ever gives: fire and steel. As the fleet approached the nearest deep space gate, Earth broadcast a new signal. Not in council dialect, not in trade language, but in the old tongue of Terra. A warning. A promise. "This is Commander Riker of Earth's Warfleet. You attacked the weak. You slaughtered the helpless. You screamed into the dark for domination. We heard you. Now hear us. We are humanity. We bring retribution." The Ashburn fleet near Atheon paused for only a moment, as if they understood. As if they remembered that long ago, there was a species that had once made the stars bleed. The jump gates glowed as Earth's fleet arrived. The black ships tore through the void, formation tight, weapons armed, energy cores pulsing like angry hearts. The soldiers on board readied for combat. These were not men and women driven by hope or diplomacy. These were killers trained to end civilizations. Each had a single tattoo on their wrist. "Peace is the time between our wars." Back in the council, the debate turned to panic. "Send envoys," someone cried. "Warn the Ashburn." "No," said the Cathari seer, voice trembling. "No one warns them. No one stops them. Not even death." Atheon's last defense line was crumbling. Civilians rushed to underground bunkers. Children screamed. Soldiers fell. The skies turned red. Then suddenly, the stars above cracked open. Earth's fleet entered. Missiles with artificial intelligence launched instantly, targeting weak points in the Ashburn formation. Weapons turned enemy ships into molten slag within seconds. Plasma lances pierced holes. EMP cannons shut down entire waves. The Iron Wraith led the assault, ripping through enemy cruisers like paper. No hesitation, no delay, no mercy. Responded with force. Their ships were alive biomechanical monsters that screamed as they attacked, but for every human ship they struck, 5 more replaced it. Riker stood tall at the center of it all. He gave one order: burn them. The fleet unleashed hell. Orbital strikes hit Ashburn troop carriers. Ground forces were vaporized. The sky above Atheon turned white with fire. Riker's voice echoed through every comm channel. "To the people of Atheon, you are not alone. This is Earth. Your enemies now face extinction." Thorsian survivors looked up through smoke and ash and saw salvation written in flame. The Ashburn fled for the first time in their dark history. But Riker didn't. Let them go. He gave the final command: chase them. And so, Earth's death fleet left Atheon's orbit not as heroes, but as hunters. The war was far from over. The real enemy had not yet revealed itself. But now, the galaxy knew Earth had returned. And this time they weren't here to negotiate. The stars above the ruined world of Atheon still burned with the afterglow of Earth's arrival. But the silence that followed was brief, very brief. The Ashburn had tasted human weapons. It had felt the fury of Earth's fleet. But they were not broken, not yet. They turned back, regrouped, and prepared to strike again. Commander Riker stood at the bridge of Iron Wraith, his gaze fixed on the tactical display in front of him. Red dots Ashburn, ships were moving fast, thousands of them, from every direction. Their formations weren't standard. They didn't fly like soldiers. They moved like predators, wild, unpredictable, and fast. "They're coming again." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Aaron, muttered. "But this time, they're angry." Riker didn't blink. "Good. Let them come." The fleet hovered above Athena's orbit, fully deployed. Earth's ships weren't sleek or beautiful like the other galactic navies. They were blocky, brutal, designed not to intimidate but to destroy. Their weapons were old, powerful, and illegal by Council standards, but the humans had never cared for Council rules. Earth had been silent for too long. Now the galaxy would. Remember why that silence had been terrifying? An alarm flashed red. Enemy fleet entering range, said the AI. Multiple vectors. Confirmed Ashburn carriers. Estimated fleet strength, 9,000 vessels. Casualties? Aaron asked, swallowing. If we stand and fight, the AI paused. Severe. Riker stepped forward, voice steady. We don't stand and fight. We strike first. The Iron Wraith's cannons began to glow, massive tubes of magnetized plasma, charging with blue light. On every ship across the fleet, similar weapons activated. Earth didn't believe in fair fights. Earth believed in overwhelming force. Broadcast. To the Ashburn, Riker said. Message, sir. He paused for a heartbeat, then said coldly, No message, just music. A low, dark tone echoed through the void. A signal the Ashburn couldn't decode, an old Earth war song, pulsing with rhythm. The humans always went into battle with sound. For them, war was a dance, a performance. And this one had just begun. Within seconds, Earth's war fleet moved. Leviathan launched shock missiles that cracked enemy shields with seismic force. Black Horizon opened its gravity cannons, tearing through Ashburn cruisers like paper. Orbital lances burned straight through the heart of enemy formations. Ashburn fighters screamed through space. Shifting and warping mid-flight, they launched. Organic missiles, living bombs with claws and teeth. But Earth's point defense systems shredded them mid-air. On one cruiser, a swarm of Ashburn creatures breached the hull and began crawling inside. Inside the steel corridors, Earth Marines in power armor waited. Make them regret this, one sergeant growled. When the creatures burst through, the humans opened fire, no hesitation, no retreat. Every shot counted. Every bullet was deadly. These were Deathworlders. They didn't panic. They didn't break. They only killed. From orbit, Riker watched the battle unfold. Their numbers are endless, Aaron said, voice shaking slightly. They're not fighting to win. They're trying to wear us down. They won't get the chance, Riker said. Deployed the Lance of Terra. The AI paused. Sir, that weapon is still under Council ban. Riker raised an eyebrow. Do you see the Council helping? Silence. Deploying Lance of Terra, the AI confirmed. Beneath Iron Wraith, a hatch opened. A long spear of light formed in the darkness, pulsing energy wrapped in antimatter containment. The Lance of Terra was designed to split moons in half. Target. Ashburn flagship. Fire, Riker ordered. The void lit up. A beam of blinding light stretched across the stars. For a moment, even the Ashburn stopped. Then, their flagship exploded, not just shattered, but atomized. The force shook the enemy formation. Confusion, chaos, push forward. Riker shouted, No mercy. Earth's fleet surged ahead, firing everything. Ashburn ships exploded one after another. The tide had turned. The creatures were fast, deadly, strange, but they had never faced enemies like this. They had never faced humans. Down on Atheon, the people watched in disbelief. From underground shelters, they stared at the sky, turned white-hot. The ships. Of earth black, monstrous, beautiful in their fury, moved like wolves among sheep. In the Capitol's bunker, Chancellor Varel trembled. They came, he whispered. They actually came. A young officer stood beside him. But they aren't like us, are they, sir? The Chancellor said. They're worse. And thank the stars for that. For hours, Ashburn losses mounted. They tried to retreat, but Earth's fleet gave no space. Riker had made a decision early, no survivors. The Ashburn didn't understand diplomacy, only understood fear, as the final wave of Ashburn fighters. Burned in the void, a strange signal echoed across the field. The AI paused. What is that? Riker asked. It's a message. Not Council code. Not Ashburn. Something else. translated. The voice that came through was cold, deep, mechanical. You burn well, Earth. Riker frowned. Who was that? The AI hesitated. Unknown. It did not come from any enemy ship. Then where? From beyond the system, the AI said slowly, from deep space. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Riker said, track it. Trace the source. Already working on it, Commander. Ashburn were defeated, but the real enemy had just whispered as Earth's ships moved into orbit to assist Atheon. Civilians began emerging from the bunkers. They looked up at the massive war fleet that now floated above their home. Children cried. Families hugged. Soldiers dropped to their knees. The humans didn't land. They didn't ask for thanks. They simply hovered in the sky watching, waiting. Riker stood silent at the bridge, staring at the distant stars. We saved a planet today, Aaron said. Riker didn't smile. No, we only gave it more time. Time for what? Riker turned. For the real war? It's coming. The Ashburn are just the first shadow. Something bigger sent them. And what do we do when it arrives? Riker's eyes burned with purpose. We do what we always do, he said. We bring fire. And far beyond the stars, something ancient opened its eyes. It had seen the humans burn the Ashburn. It had watched Earth rise once again, and now it was interested. The flames of war had not yet faded from Athean skies, and already whispers spread through the stars like a plague. Word traveled fast, faster than light relays, faster than official broadcasts. In every dark corner of the galaxy, a single name returned to memory. One that hadn't been spoken in almost a century. Earth in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council located on the neutral station of Sirix. Prime leaders of hundreds of worlds gathered in emergency session. Panic rippled. Through them like a storm, holograms flickered in midair. The Ashburn fleet had been torn apart above Atheon. The images were undeniable. Black Earth's warships firing planet crackers, gravity weapons folding enemy vessels in half, human marines wiping out Ashburn creatures in hand-to-hand combat. This is madness, shouted Chancellor Jarov of the Korth. Dominion, his purple skin pulsing with stress. The humans are not allies. They're a weapon we buried. They responded to a distress call. A calm voice answered. It was Savara of the Exari, a crystalline species known for neutrality. They saved Atheon when no one else would. And they did it with weapons outlawed by every known code of war. Hissed another counselor. The Lance of Terra was supposed to be decommissioned. A hologram zoomed in on the moment that massive energy beam had torn through the Ashburn's flagship. Even in silence, the image brought chills. Their Deathworlders whispered a Cathari seer, blind, an ancient. Their planet trained them to survive hell. Their minds were made for war. And now, they've remembered what they are. The council chamber fell quiet. There was no denying the truth. Earth was back, and Earth had not returned with peace. Meanwhile, on the edge of Atheon's system, the fleet of humanity reformed into a diamond formation. Thousands of black ships hovered in eerie silence like vultures in the dark. Now, damaged vessels were already being repaired by auto-forges. Marines sharpened their blades. The smell of smoke and oil filled the air. There was no celebration, no speeches. Humans didn't rejoice in survival. They prepared for the next strike. On board Iron Wraith, Commander Riker stood in front of a glowing projection. Red lights blinked. Across the map, Ashburn activity in other systems. Worlds falling in silence. Fleets disappearing. Something deeper was happening. Lieutenant Aaron approached. Atheon's leaders request contact. They want to offer a diplomatic meeting. Didn't turn. Tell them this isn't diplomacy. They want to thank us. Riker finally faced him. We don't need thanks. We need data patterns. We need to know what the Ashburn were looking for. Aaron hesitated, sir. The flagship had no control center, no bridge, nothing. It wasn't a ship, it was a creature, a living weapon. Riker's face darkened. Then the question is, who created it? On Sirix Prime, the Council's fear turned into argument. We must block Earth's access to the core systems. Chancellor Jarov shouted. If they're allowed to move freely, we're next. And what will you do? Severa asked. Send peace envoys to Earth's fleet. They'll never reply. You think this is about control? It's about survival now? Spasburn must. B stopped agreed, another voice said. But Earth is not a savior. Earth is a fire you can't contain. Across the galaxy, smaller worlds began to make quiet decisions. Messages were sent not to the Council but to Earth, a mining colony. Near the Tyrell Belt offered data in exchange for protection. A frontier world near Zelos begged for a defensive garrison. Even a few mercenary fleets asked to join the humans. Something was changing. Fear wasn't just for Earth. Now it was for what Earth could become again. Because the last time Earth had gone to war, they hadn't stopped. Not until entire civilizations had vanished. Back aboard Iron Wraith, the AI broke the tension with a sudden alert. New signal detected. Not Ashburn. Unknown source. Triangulating. Stepped forward. Show me. A strange signal pulsed. On screen, a frequency buried in static then sharpened. A single word came through. Watching. Aaron whispered, Was that directed at us? No, Riker replied. It was sent to the Ashburn. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what. That meant the Ashburn were not the enemy. They were the weapon, but someone else was holding the leash. Back on Atheon, humanity's ground forces were recovering Ashburn, tech-twisted metal, pulsating flesh, and strange black cores. Urge scientists had already begun testing them. The cores responded only to pain and fear. They weren't energy sources. They were amplifiers of suffering. One scientist whispered, These things weren't built to conquer. They were built to consume. In deep space, far from the war, in a starless region known only as the Black Mouth, something moved. A shape so vast, it blotted out sensor arrays. It watched the galaxy silently. It had seen Earth reawaken. It smiled. The AI interrupted Riker again. Sir, preliminary scans suggest Ashburn are seeding multiple systems simultaneously, not randomly. They're following a pattern. Show me, Riker said. Lines drew across the stars. The red zones. Connected one by one, they formed a shape. A ring, a net, a prison. They're building something, Aaron said, eyes wide. Something big. Riker's voice was calm, but cold. And we break it before it's done. We don't even know what it is. We don't need to. We just need to. Burn it! At that moment, Earth's war fleet received a single-word command from Command Corps. Authorization granted for Project Iron Rain. Riker's expression changed. Even he hadn't expected this so soon. He turned toward the fleet-wide. Cummins spoke without emotion. This is Riker. Project Iron Rain is now active. Prepare for inter-system strikes. No survivors. No warnings. Across the galaxy, the stars began to flicker. Earth had come to help, but now Earth was on the hunt, and the galaxy realized something too late. Humanity had not changed. It had simply waited. The battlefield above Atheon lay quiet now. Burned wreckage floated like broken bones across the black void. Fire still burned in the planet's upper atmosphere, but the humans didn't rest. Earth's war fleet didn't slow down, it regrouped, rearmed, and began searching through the ruins of its enemy. On board the Iron Wraith, Commander Riker stood in a cold, sealed chamber, lit only by the flickering blue glow of a containment field. Inside floated something no human had ever seen before, an Ashburn artifact. Not a weapon, not a creature, but a machine, small, black, covered in spiked ridges and etched with alien markings that pulsed like veins. The device had been pulled from the wreckage of the Ashburn flagship, the one destroyed by Earth's Lance of Terra. It had survived the blast, unmarked, untouched, as if it wanted to be found. Riker stared at it without blinking.
What is?
It, the ship's AI answered, voice low and cautious. Preliminary scans identify it as a data key. It's possibly part of a larger control system. Material unknown. The structure reacts to emotional energy specifically. Fear. Riker's eyes narrowed. It feeds off fear. Yes, the stronger the emotion, the brighter it pulses. But more importantly, it's transmitting coordinates. The AI hesitated. Yes, Commander. Deep space. Outside known star lanes. Beyond the edge of Council territory, trace it. Map it. Prepare the fleet. As Riker left the chamber, he gave one final order. Quarantine the device and double the guard. I don't trust anything that survives a planet killer. Back on Atheon's surface, human marines continued their sweep of Ashburn drop zones. Beneath the destroyed capital city, they found strange tunnels carved with unnatural precision, pulsing with faint red light. The walls were alive, lined with organic metal and twitching veins. The Ashburn hadn't just invaded, they had built something. Inside the deepest tunnel, a single symbol repeated across the walls, synced in blood and bone. Not a language, but a shape, a ring incomplete. A circle waiting to be closed. Science officer Dr. Mason reported back to the Iron Wraith with urgency. Commander, this wasn't just an invasion, it was a harvest. Riker appeared on the screen. Explain. These tunnels weren't for movement, they were for extraction. The Ashburn weren't stealing resources. Minds, fear, memories, pain, whatever they built. Here. Whatever system they were constructing, it was designed to feed something else. Riker didn't speak for a long time, and he asked, "Do we know what?" "No, sir. But we believe. It's ancient and intelligent." Riker leaned forward. "What do you mean intelligent?" "The Ashburn don't act like a hive mind. They're puppets. It's designed, directed. This goes beyond a single species. I think someone or something created them, and it's still watching." That same day, Earth's AI decoded the coordinates. From the artifact, the location was chilling. Sector Null, a blank space on every galactic map. No planets, no stars. It's just black. Ships that entered it never returned. Even the Council had sealed it off centuries ago. No explanations, just warnings. Riker gathered his command staff on the bridge. "We found the source," he said, "or at least part of it." General Idris leaned forward. "You're saying this is just the start?" Riker nodded. "Been fighting the teeth? It's time to find the head." "But Sector Null, that's a dead zone," Admiral Kale snapped. "Nothing lives there. Nothing returns." Riker's face was stone. "Then we'll return something no one's ever seen. Fire and steel. The fleet prepared. Not just for battle, but for the unknown. Weapons were checked. Armor reinforced. AI protocols enhanced. And above all, Project Iron Rain was moved from standby to active deployment. Project Iron Rain was humanity's most dangerous tool, not a single weapon, but a strategy. A full planetary erasure system, designed not just to destroy enemy armies, but to erase entire ecosystems. It had only been used once before, during Earth's final war. And the memory of that firestorm had haunted the stars ever since. Riker knew what he was walking into, but he also knew the truth. This war wasn't about saving a Theon anymore. It was about stopping something worse. Before leaving orbit, Riker sent one final message to the Galactic Council. Short final, cold. Ashburn are not the enemy. They are the infection. We're tracing the virus to its source. Stay out of our way. On Sirix Prime, the Council fell into chaos. Some demanded Earth's fleet be stopped. Others begged to join them. A few even admitted the truth. If something could create the Ashburn, humanity might be the only species mad enough to face it. As Earth's warships entered deep space, the black artifact pulsed again. The signal went out, faint, repeating, a language not even Earth's AI could translate. The artifact wasn't sending coordinates anymore. It was calling for help, and something far beyond Sector Null answered. It opened a gate, a tear in space, a wound in the universe. And through that wound, it watched the humans coming. With fear, not with hatred, but with interest. Because it remembered them, it remembered Earth, and it whispered across the stars. They've returned. Begin the next phase. The true war had not begun yet, but humanity was already marching. Toward it, with fire, with steel, without mercy. The black artifact had led them here, a place without stars, a region beyond known maps. Sector null. No sun, no warmth, no gravity fields, no trace of life. It's just endless dark, so deep that even the brightest warship lights seemed to vanish into it. Commander Riker stood at the front of the Iron Wraith's command deck. Before him, the fleet floated in perfect formation, 4,000 ships, armed and ready, aimed at nothing. Yet even in the silence, Riker felt watched. Lieutenant, Aaron checked readings again. Still no signal bounce, no sensor contact. It's like space doesn't work normally here. Riker's voice was calm, but tense. It's working, just not for us. The artifact had pulsed when they arrived, brighter, faster, like it was excited. That's what bothered Riker the most. This isn't an ambush, he muttered. It's an invitation. Suddenly, the black ahead of them began to ripple. Not visually, reality itself bent, like something massive was shifting on the other side of a thin veil. The darkness opened into a ring of swirling red light. Not a natural wormhole, not a jump gate. This was something different. Something older, new structure detected, the AI announced. Unknown physics, not council origin, not Ashburn, alive, Riker asked. The AI hesitated, possibly. Without a word, Riker gave the command. Fleet, prepare for breach. Go in. One by one, Earth's warships began entering the red vortex. As they passed through, each ship vanished from scanners. There was no time lag, no signal return, just disappearance. When the Iron Wraith passed through, the stars disappeared completely. There was no space, no sound, no sensation, just black. Then light. The fleet emerged inside a hollow sphere the size of a solar system. It was artificial, a manufactured dimension. At its core floated a world not a planet but a machine. A massive construct made of black spires and spinning rings. It looked like a heart. It was beating. Riker stared at it. What the hell is that? The AI ran every comparison it could. Closest match, ancient Terran Dyson ring designs. But this, it's not harvesting energy. It's producing something. Producing what? Yahan whispered. Then the artifact on board pulsed. Again, and the construct at the center of the sphere responded with sound. Not words. Not data. A voice, deep, layered, mechanical and biological at the same time. Welcome, humans. No one spoke. You brought fire once before. Long ago, you burned what you feared. You silenced what you did not understand. Riker narrowed his eyes. Identify yourself. The voice continued, We are what remains, what waits. The Ashburn were our touch. We destroyed them. Good, that was their purpose. Gasps echoed through the bridge. They were sent to be destroyed, Aaron asked. Why? Riker stepped forward, to test us. The voice agreed. You understand now. The galaxy has grown soft. It forgot war. You did not. You are our key. Key to what? Riker demanded. To awakening. To rebuilding the galaxy in strength, not weakness. Join us. Be the flame that reshapes the stars. Aaron looked at Riker. This thing wants us to serve it. Riker's stare turned cold. No. It wants us to be weapons again. Below them, parts of the machine world began to open. Now came fleets, not ships, but shapes. Massive, living machines unlike anything ever seen. Each one pulsed with red energy. Each one looked. Handcrafted for one thing, eradication. New contacts, the AI warned. Fleet class, unknown. Strength, maximum. Estimated threat, extinction level. Riker stood tall. Then we do what we were made for. He raised his voice. All ships, battle formation, Project Iron, reactivate. Project Iron Rain wasn't just a strategy, it was a doctrine. Written in blood, total war with no rules, no survivors, no retreat. The fleet moved like a storm. Thousands of black warships swarmed through the artificial sky, firing with everything they had. Earth's weapons struck the enemy constructs. Hard and for the first time, those alien ships bled. Not sparks, not smoke, but liquid, something alive. The voice laughed. Yes, rage, pain, burn it into the stars. Show us you are worthy. Riker bared his teeth. You want fire? He pressed the final command. From the largest ship in Earth's fleet, a dark behemoth called the Oblivion Gaetan, ancient. Weapon activated, one that had never been used since the fall of old Earth. A singularity core. The ship opened its belly and dropped the weapon into the construct's gravity well. It detonated. Time twisted. Light folded. Space itself screamed. Half the enemy fleet vanished in one explosion. The machine world shook. Rings broke apart. Gravity destabilized. The inside of the sphere began to collapse. But the voice did not scream. It smiled. Now we remember you. Riker turned to the bridge crew. Prepare for retreat. Psst. The sphere behind us. Sir, if we do that, they'll follow us, Riker said. Unless we seal them in. Now move. The fleet began its escape. Ships fired backward, collapsing the passageway behind them. The red gate twisted, snarled and closed. Earth's war fleet emerged back into real space, scarred, burning, victorious. But the message had been sent. Ancient, and that something had called Earth not an enemy. Not a threat, but a mirror. Back aboard Iron Wraith, Riker stared out the window. His voice was low. They weren't the threat. Aaron stood beside him. Then what were they? Riker answered with only 3 words. The real invitation. And somewhere far beyond the dark, other machines began to wake. Other watchers opened their eyes because the Deathworlders were back. And the galaxy's gods were listening. The stars had barely settled after the collapse of the Black Sphere in Sector Null, Earth's war fleet, turned battered but not broken. The Iron Wraith led the way, its hull still glowing with the heat of the Singularity blast. Not the Yahans. Skies welcomed the fleet as heroes, but Riker knew better. This wasn't victory. It was just the beginning. Inside the command chamber, Riker stood in silence. The artifact recovered from the Ashburn flagship now sat dead in its container. No pulse, no glow, until it screamed. A sudden burst of sound ripped through the chamber. Not a physical noise, but a psychic scream, slamming through every mind. On the ship, soldiers dropped to their knees. Technicians clutched their skulls. AI systems flickered. Even hardened veterans felt the chill of something ancient push into their thoughts. The artifact cracked and crumbled into black dust. Riker's breathing slowed. What was that? The AI answered, in a voice that sounded shaken for the first. Time. That was not a transmission. That was a call. To whom? Unknown. But we were not the only ones to hear it. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the effects were immediate. In the Glarn system, ancient ruins long buried beneath oceanic trenches began to vibrate. Stone monoliths activated, their surfaces shifting to show Earth's fleet attacking the Ashburn. On a dead moon orbiting Cryon 7, sleeping machines reawakened after 10,000 years. They whispered to each other in frequencies older than language. On Council Station Serix Prime, a diplomatic fleet monitoring Earth's movements went completely dark. Final transmission. Static in one word. Awakened. Back on Iron Wraith, Riker was already preparing. He had seen too many wars to mistake coincidence for safety. Bring all Blackwatch units online, he ordered. Mobilize Death Division 1 through 6. Begin planetary evacuation protocols. For Tier 3 worlds, Aaron looked stunned. Sir, that's a galaxy-wide response. Riker nodded. We just rang the universe's oldest bell. Now it's answering. Suddenly, a burst of unknown ships appeared on long-range scans, near the edges of forgotten systems. Not Ashburn, not Council. Something new. Something old. They were shaped like daggers. Smooth, silent. Each one emitted no power signal. Number. Heat. But they moved fast. The AI flashed a warning. Inbound contacts. 17 systems. Unmatched signature. Possible origin. Deep core. Riker's face went cold. They're not scouting us. They already know where we are. It became clear. Destroying the Ashburn construct hadn't stopped the threat. It had unlocked it. Send the message, Riker said. What message, Commander? Riker's eyes burned with fire. To Earth. All colonies. Every fleet. The Black Flag Protocol is live.
Asps.
Echoed through the bridge. Black Flag Protocol. Hadn't been used since Earth's final war? It wasn't just a battle alert. It was total planetary readiness. Across the stars, Earth's hidden fleets began moving. In asteroid belts, cold gas fields, in hollowed-out moons. Ships built. For extinction rose from silence. Stations long dormant began powering up. Even Mars, now just a red military graveyard, activated old AI cores. One of them opened a file marked only, "If Earth burns again." Back on Atheon, the ground shook. Deep beneath the old capital, Ashburn, tunnels began to glow again despite the destruction.
Us.
Something had been left behind. Something not meant to activate until now. A survivor, a young Atheon scientist, screamed from a hospital ward. She'd been rescued after the Ashburn assault. Now she clutched her head, repeating the same phrase over and over. It's not over. It was never about Atheon. It's about Earth. Riker heard the report. His face didn't change. He had suspected. It all along, they weren't just attacking soft targets, he said. They were studying us, testing our defense lines, mapping our tactics. And now, Aaron asked, they're coming to meet us. Just then, a new signal burst across every screen. Not from Earth, not from the Ashburn, from something else. It was a broadcast coded, ancient, precise. The AI struggled to translate it. It wasn't language, it was command structure. After a moment, the AI cracked it. One phrase appeared on every console. Deathworld. Oh, one prepared to answer. Everyone froze. Aaron whispered, they know what Earth is. They always did, Riker said. We were just the last ones to remember. Second message followed the first. Short, ominous, final. The architect's return. Riker turned toward his war staff. We have one chance. One window. Before they get too deep. Before they surround the core systems. Admiral Kale nodded grimly. We strike first. No, Riker replied. We strike hardest. This time, we don't leave survivors. This time, we burn the map. The Iron Wraith moved to the front of the fleet. The stars ahead were dark, but now lit with red markers. Each one was a signal point, a staging ground, a location where the enemy might emerge. Project Iron Rain's final phase was now armed. The Skyfall Directive. Orbital weapons that could sterilize entire systems. Earth's final option. One they never wanted to use. But Earth had stopped waiting. The signal had echoed. The monsters had heard. The gods were waking, and the Deathworlders had already made their choice. No retreat. No warnings. No mercy. Earth was at war again. But this time, it wasn't about saving the galaxy. It was about surviving it. The stars themselves felt colder now. Across the galaxy, silence fell, not the peaceful kind, but the sharp waiting silence before the storm breaks. The Ashburn were gone. Their masters had stirred, and Earth had answered with fire. But the enemy wasn't just watching anymore. It was coming. From the outer edge of the Andros Spiralan uncharted, ignored region, long believed empty, a gate opened. It wasn't built by humans, not by the Ashburn, not by any known species. It was ancient, spinning like a black halo, 20 kilometers wide, drawing in dark matter and spitting out twisted energy like breath. Every sensor in the galaxy picked it up. And every voice in every language asked the same question. What is that? Commander Riker already knew. He stood aboard the Iron Wraith, eyes locked on the tactical map. Red signals lit up one after another, first dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Enemy ships were pouring out of the gate, not Ashburn. These were machines obsidian black, edged with unnatural geometry, moving as if they were extensions of a single will. Each one radiated pressure, pure presence. The AI whispered what everyone feared. Designation confirmed. Architect class. Vessel's Riker didn't blink. They're not testing anymore. They're invading. Aaron stepped beside him. What's their objective? Riker's voice was low. Earth. The message had been clear. Deathworld 01 was the key. Earth was no longer just a player. It was a threat. One the architects had buried once, now wanted to destroy completely. Back on Sirius Prime, panic ripped through the Galactic Council. We must surrender. One alien shouted. They'll burn everything, screamed another. Cause this. But Savara of the XRE stood tall, her crystalline form pulsing with calm. Earth did not start this war. They were just the first to understand what was coming, and now no one could stop it. Earth's final protocols activated. Its massive defense stations around the Sol system powered up. Neptune's rings revealed. Railgun platforms the size of cities. Even the old Terran moon cracked open, revealing a buried AI. Command center known only as the Core Mind. Earth had been preparing for this since before the last Great War. Not just to fight off enemies, but to fight the architects. Riker watched as Earth's oldest defenses came online. We knew they'd return, he said. That's why we built the vaults, the sky shields, the sleeper fleets. Can we stop them? Aaron asked. Riker looked to the screen. The architect fleet kept pouring in, like a black sea.
Oh.
He said, we don't stop them. He turned to his fleet. We end them. The order was sent. Earth's fleets launched. Every colony, every black site, every hidden moon fortress, humanity's full strength unleashed. Thousands of ships moved as one. Carriers opened. Swarms of AI drones filled the void. Mobile singularity bombs armed. The Oblivion Gate Earth's Doomsday ship began charging a planet buster capable of burning a sun. But the architects didn't hesitate. Their ships spoke, not in sound, not in data, but in thought. Across every human system, every screen, every AI core, a single phrase appeared. You were a mistake. Riker replied through every open channel in the galaxy, and you made a worse one. You let us live. The war began. Architect vessels struck like spears, piercing even the strongest shields. They used gravity as a weapon, folding space around ships, crushing them like eggs. Entire fleets vanished in moments. But Earth's fleets answered with madness. They fired weapons that consumed time, used black hole bombs to tear enemy formations apart, and sent elite units death commandos directly onto enemy vessels too. Plant anti-reality charges. The death toll climbed into the billions. But humanity didn't break. They only fought harder. Every loss only sharpened their fury. Back on Earth, civilians watched the skies turn red with warning lights. But no one ran. They had been trained for this. Every generation, every school, every child. Because Earth had never forgotten the truth. The stars are not safe. Mercy is a luxury for the dead. At the height of the battle, as Architect ships neared Earth's orbit, the Core Mind released its final weapon project, Skybreaker. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a missile. It was a star forged artificially held in containment for one purpose. When the Core Mind released it, the Skybreaker ignited in orbit and expanded. A controlled stellar burst. Everything within 5 million kilometers vaporized. Architect ships burned like paper. Even their command vessels collapsed. And the gate, the black spinning ring, began to destabilize. Earth's fleet gave the final push. Singularity cores launched. Reality cracked. And the gate shattered. The Architect fleet was cut off. The invasion failed. Humanity had survived. But Riker stood silently on the bridge. Victory had cost them half their fleet. Dozens of colonies were gone. Millions dead. He turned to Aaron. We're alive, but we're not done, sir. Riker's eyes were dark. We know where the architects sleep. And next time, we bring the war to them. The AI spoke one last line. Target location found. Architect's central nexus. Riker nodded. Set course. 'Cause Earth had one last message left to deliver. You built the stars. We're coming to burn them. And the galaxy now watching in silence. finally understood. Mercy died the day Earth returned to war, and now nothing would stop the Deathworlders. It's not even the gods.